Yeah, seatbelts on, the journey continues. Okay, yeah, very inspiring last presentation, wasn't it? Because as Alushka said, peace of mind, we always worry and our students always worry. What if somebody gets hurt? What can we do? But there are partners, there's help out there. The time is progressing and we are moving towards lunchtime. However, at first, we will be hearing from culinary experts. The next two presentations before lunch are from Erik Wolf and Chantal Cook. Both are associated with the World Food Travel Association. Erik, in fact, is the executive director and founder of WFTA. No G in there, so WFTGA and WFTA. As the tourist guides and the World Food Travel Organization, we have quite a long-standing partnership now, something like 3 years, cooperation and partnership. Some of you might actually already have participated in the self-directed online training opportunity that was created between both of us. And let's see how many in the room are culinary certified tourist guides. Do you have anyone in the room? Oh, there, Alushka is putting her hand up. And Alushka actually gave me her qualification because I still haven't managed to do the course. Can I show it to the camera there? Will the camera pick it up? A lovely badge. But maybe we also have online a couple of culinary qualified tourist guides. So hold up your badge to the screen and then, oh no, it's a webinar today, forget it. So it looks like a lovely little flower, colorful, but it also reminds me of the colorful dishes maybe on a plate and also colorful spices you see in a market. So yeah, this online learning opportunity between WFTG and the World Food Travel Association is really for qualified tourist guides who want to specialize or enhance their expertise in the culinary sector. So it's, if you want a continuous professional development, a top up to your general tourist guide training. So Erik has been with us many, many times before. I'm sure you remember his face, you remember his interventions. I remember one conversation between Alushka and Erik, just talking about the future of tourism and the culinary aspect of it. So Erik is today back in form of a video. So he will be appearing for us on screen shortly. And as you have read in the program, he will be talking about using culinary tourism and driving the recovery in our destinations. And he has a very intriguing subtitle, if you want. He said he believes that culinary tourism as usual is no longer possible after the storm of the pandemic. So changes, of course, everywhere, and that also is true for the culinary sector. So Erik's video lasts about 20 minutes. So let's enjoy Erik's video. And after that, we will have Chantal Cook. I introduce her again when she comes up. She is on the board of the World Food Travel Association. Okay, so we are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erik Wolf, and I serve as the Executive Director of the World Food Travel Association. And I so wished that I could be with you today, but unfortunately, a scheduling conflict prevented that. And I very much look forward to being able to join you at one of your conventions in the future. But that said, I wanted to share with you a little bit about the culinary tourism industry. I know that we've worked with the World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations on certifying quite a few of your guides, and food and drink are one of the most important products that visitors enjoy. So I wanted to share with you some of the changes that we see happening in the industry and also show you ways that you can benefit as the industry changes and get ready for the coming out of the pandemic. So first of all, the most important thing to recognize is that we have really crossed the precipice of change. And what does that mean? Well, that means that in the past couple of years, we've been through a lot, and we've learned a lot, and we've grown a lot. So the way that we interact with other people has changed. We haven't traveled, but we've learned new things, and we now know that when we travel, the way we're going to travel has changed, and even the way we've eaten has changed. In pandemic days during the lockdowns, we had to cook at home. We were calling up our friends and our family, our parents and grandparents, and saying, "Hey, how did you make that one dish that I had that I loved when I was growing up?" Things like that. And people were putting more and more emphasis on cooking at home, learning about our culinary culture, and this is great news. So while we were learning or relearning how to cook, then we also started to learn about new values, that things that were happening in the world, current events like the George Floyd situation in the United States, and some of the protests that have been happening around the world, Black Lives Matter, and so on. And we have started to evolve, I think, as human beings about how we treat people and how we do business together. And this is fantastic. But what it means is that the old ways of doing business, the status quo that we were used to in 2019, has changed. And we need to make sure that you're ready to meet the world head on with the new changes that have been introduced since the pandemic began. Now, you probably recognize that during the pandemic, reinvention was the norm. And this is something that we've seen all over the world, where people had to work 2, 3, or even 4 jobs, not necessarily just to stay ahead of things, although that is sometimes the situation, but just because that's their passion. You work part-time in one thing, maybe as a graphic designer or as a tourist guide. You have another part-time job, and that's how we make a living. And it doesn't mean that we need to have 4 jobs going forward, but it means that a portion of our overall income is going to come from different sources. So as tourist guides, that may mean that you have been doing some translation work, or maybe you're doing some writing for a food blog or a food magazine. So you might be writing articles, you might be giving cooking classes, you might even be creating your own tour operator company. And these are all great activities to be working on, but these are not things that have just taken over during the pandemic. This is the new norm. And diversifying your product portfolio, having many irons in the fire, and doing many things, this is going to be the new norm. So if before you were only a culinary tourist guide, you might want to think about what else you can be doing, because there's going to be more competition. There might be fewer travelers, at least in the near term. And you obviously need to make an income and be competitive as well. So you'll need to have different things that you're working on. Now, I certainly think that the tour guiding profession is going to be strong and more important than ever. And you'll see why I think that is the case in some of the rest of the comments here. So sustainability has become more important than ever. And everyone is doing it. Every person is doing it. Every company is doing it. Destinations are doing it. And it's really important, I think, as tourist guides, that you are ambassadors of sustainability for your destination. And you understand the destinations where you guide better than anyone. And you have a unique opportunity, I think, to make an impression upon both visitors as well as local residents about your commitment to sustainability and to making the living situation better and the visiting situation better for visitors and residents alike. So, for example, ways you can do this are to encourage the recycling of packaging waste. And it's no secret that food and beverage creates some of the most packaging waste out there. And I'm not just talking about the food waste that happens, but things like bottled drinks or takeaway food or plastic cutlery or serviettes and napkins or straws, all of those things. It's a huge amount of waste. And you have an opportunity to show different solutions to handling this kind of situation. Also to minimizing the food waste. So when you take your guests on different tasting excursions, and you can talk to them about minimizing food waste. You can say about what the restaurant is doing to minimize food waste. Maybe they donate unused food that's safe to charities in the area. That is a very viable solution and business model that takes place in some countries. And I think it's important also that you send a message to explain what, why you're explaining the wonderful food that people are enjoying. You also explain why it's important to continue supporting local businesses. And I think we get very comfortable, and it's just so easy to order something on Amazon or to go to a fast food restaurant to get something to eat. But people need to understand why supporting local is important to the economic survival of the local area. It's not just about convenience or lower price. It is about keeping the money in the local economy and creating and supporting a strong local economy. We know that when chains, whether hotels or restaurants, come to an area, and also the big box stores like Costco or those types of big warehouse stores, we know when those stores come to the area that they send as much as 80% of their profits back to corporate headquarters, wherever they are. That's a lot of money. And so many jurisdictions are so excited to get these stores. They say, oh, it's going to be wonderful for job creation and taxes and so on. Well, it is rarely like that. You have these big companies that come in, they use the local area, they make their sales, and then they send the money elsewhere. People are being paid minimum wage. And in the case of restaurants, at least, very little produce tends to be purchased locally. You might have some fresh produce, but a lot of the products actually, because of corporate purchasing and standardization, a lot of the food and beverage products actually are imported. So that's the opposite of what you want to achieve. So I think that if you can help your guests to understand why buying local and supporting local is more important than ever, so that when they return home, they can continue that behavior on their own. And I think culinary authenticity and culinary culture are really important ways to help us all to stay unique in a world that is perhaps marching a little too fast towards consistency and homogenization. I think the pandemic has really stopped us in our tracks, and it has given us a new opportunity to flex our muscles in terms of being independent and exhibiting our own cultures, whether they're culinary cultures or not. And this is one of the major reasons to travel. And if everyone has a Starbucks and a KFC on every corner, we're not going to need to travel for food and drink anymore. There will be no such thing as enjoying the patisseries of Paris, because they'll have patisseries in Phoenix, Arizona, or other places around the world. And you won't need to travel. And that would be a true shame. So as people start to travel again, I would encourage you to seek local and regional opportunities. And I think that maybe we look at not calling ourselves tourist guides, but maybe we call ourselves area guides, because obviously local residents don't want to be regarded as tourists. But I love the did you know game. And I play this sometimes with friends in places where I live. And I find out that most of the time people don't know things that I know. And of course, I learn things from other people too. But especially when it comes to food and drink, you can tell people, did you know that such and such was invented at an old restaurant in the old town? Or that this sauce or this wine came from this area, and tell them those stories and about the history. I think that a lot of the times they won't know actually the stories, or they might not know all the details. I do think travel is going to remain expensive for a while, and this means that it's a good opportunity to present your skills to local residents, but also regional residents. I think that these are going to be the easy opportunities for you to succeed in the next couple of years. Now, as things start to change even more, I would encourage you not to fear technology. I know that some of you are technophiles, you love it, and you can't wait to get into your website and start playing around with things. And many others of you really hate it and can't be bothered at all. But the reality is, unfortunately, you have to play the technology game in order to survive and in order to compete. And I think that technology, the importance of technology has really become quite important during the pandemic. And for even if it wasn't such an important thing for you before, it is now. And you need to get your technology right. And by technology, I don't mean just your booking systems and reservation systems. I mean things like your website. I mean your digital marketing and so on. But also, it's given us an opportunity to diversify product portfolios. So I think many of you have seen the virtual tours and virtual classes that have been available online during the pandemic. This is a great opportunity. And think about the disabled traveler, whether it's physical disability, emotional disability, or mental disability. These are people who are a market segment that has been largely ignored. So imagine that you could give a walking tour of Prague or Athens or Tel Aviv or Cape Town to someone who can't get in an airplane, and bringing that alive to them and what that would mean to them. But this is the time to audit your website, look at what you're doing for your digital marketing, evaluate your sales process. Are you in enough channels to get enough leads? And where could you use extra help? If technology is not your thing, that's okay. Look for a local university student who can help you, and maybe you can arrange an internship with them. Now, I'm also very excited to encourage you to attend Dragan Kovacevic's talk later. He's going to be talking about optimizing your digital presence for tourist guides and what you need to be doing right now. He is our web designer and digital marketing agency. We've worked with him for several years, and he's a very, very smart guy. And I hope that you will have an opportunity to learn something good from him. Now, I think you can also serve as a local resource. Now, maybe you considered yourself as the kind of person who is behind the scenes all the time. Well, now when we need to diversify what we're doing, maybe you can serve as a person who has suggestions, right? So I know that a lot of restaurants have closed, or they have reduced hours, or maybe they're only open 4 days a week, that kind of thing. But let's say that you are talking to a local chef or a local chocolate maker, and they're really feeling down because they don't think there's really any hope in sight. And you can give them a suggestion. So one of the things that I'm telling restaurants and chefs that have lost their brick and mortar location, they've had to close, they couldn't afford the rent, then that's okay. There's no shame in that. But instead, get them to focus on something that doesn't require real estate, like they can sell sauces they make. And I'm still looking for the perfect chocolate sauce in the world, right? Those types of things, or a cookbook, or offering cooking classes, or even ingredient kits. Some of them have pursued this, but I think that there is a feeling among chefs that they always have to have a restaurant. And I think the world has changed, and the way rents are increasing dramatically, skyrocketing in many jurisdictions, having a physical restaurant location may not actually be an option in a lot of cities going forward. We're just going to have to see how things play out. But I would encourage you to be a supportive crutch for your food service industry locally, and help them to see different ways, whether they can do a food truck, or takeaway only, right? Or do their sales only at farmers markets. There's so many different ways that they can be involved. And this is not directly going to bring revenue to you, but it's a way that you show your expertise, and it shows how you care. And it also helps position you within the industry locally, so people remember who you are and they'll remember your name. Now, there's been a lot of talk in press about pent-up demand. So when the pandemic ends, it's like the floodgates and people are going to be traveling more than ever. Well, yes and no. I don't think you're going to see business as usual. I have seen the price of travel absolutely skyrocket during the pandemic, and I don't see those prices coming down quickly. You also see the cost of air fuel, aviation fuel, very expensive right now. And so, people may want travelers to be coming, but hotels and airlines are all trying to make up for lost revenue, and restaurants not only the lost revenue, but they also have supply chain issues. They can't get product. Or a friend of mine who owns a restaurant in Portland in the United States, she said she used to pay $40 for a crate of chicken wings, and now the price was $160. So that has quadrupled in 2 years. So I think all of these things mean that it's not going to be the same kind of situation as before. People are going to be very price sensitive. They have a couple years of living off of savings or no income. And then you have this is also a time for destinations to change. So some destinations like Venice, Rome, and Amsterdam have looked at the impact of visitors on their city and said, you know what, we're not going to have as many cruise ships, or we're going to introduce new laws that are going to prevent cars in the center city. But then other popular cities like Barcelona, San Francisco, and Paris don't have any plans in place. And Barcelona has been the brunt of many jokes about the big ships that pull in and people get out of the ships and they go look for paella, which isn't even native to that part of Spain. And they use the services in the city and they go away and they leave their trash, and it's not a great situation. But I think that guides can play an important educational role for both the local businesses and tourism offices, as well as the visitors coming, as you help them to understand and process what's really happening in the world. You can also serve as a resource for your own local tourism office. And one of the things that we've been doing here at the association is working with destinations to help them to regenerate tourism to their areas. And so late last year, we introduced a program called Culinary Capitals, and Grenada in the Caribbean was our first culinary capital. And we are currently processing the applications of 2 more destinations. But if you think that your destination is really a special food and drink destination, encourage your tourism office to become a culinary capital. And you can ask them to get in touch with me. I would be happy to discuss this further with them. But if your destination has this kind of certification, then more and more people are going to come to your destination because they want to. There's something special about it. What's so exciting about the food in Bristol, England, or Glasgow, Scotland? And this means that you could have more work too. It puts a unique spotlight on your destination. Now, I think another thing you'll need to do is to stand out more, because there will be more competition. And in some countries like Vietnam, other places in Southeast Asia, there are a lot of people who are guiding who are not certified guides. They're not professional tourist guides. And more competition than ever means that you're going to need more ways to stand out. And this means looking for unique and new opportunities. Now, I have mentioned before that we've been working with the World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations for several years. We offer a certified culinary tourist guide program, and the program is completely online. You also get advice with a faculty advisor that we pair you with. And at the end of the certification, if you pass, you get marketing benefits that help put you in a class by yourself. So we have a World Food Travel Market, which enjoys excellent SEO. You also get a pin pictured here. And for those of you attending in person in Madrid, Alushka hopefully is wearing her pin. But keep in mind, we are not teaching culinary culture. We are not experts on your local culinary culture, but we are experts on what is in the minds of food and beverage loving travelers, how they behave, what they value, what they want to do, other things that they like. And so we can impart that information and knowledge to you and help make you experts in that as well. And because of the relationship we have with WFTGA, we're able to bring the program to you at a reduced cost of, you save 100 euros, so the program is only $2.99 each. You can also get noticed with World Food Travel Day. And this is an annual event that we created a few years ago. It takes place every year on April 18, and it was designed to celebrate one of the best reasons to travel, which is to experience our local culinary cultures, our unique food and drink products and experiences. And it doesn't cost anything. All you need to do is piggyback on the movement and enjoy the publicity that you get. So we are on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and just post your images or your videos of great great food or drink experiences in a travel context and tag them with World Food Travel Day like there. And you see here some of the images from Instagram. It's a lot of fun. And again, it doesn't cost anything and it can get you publicity as well. So to wrap up here, I think the message is that you have an unprecedented opportunity. Now that the pandemic is ending, this is an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to reinvent your business, to update your website and your digital marketing, to identify and nurture those new partnerships. Look at your booking process or your sales process. Get to know how your customers have changed. And finally, to develop new skills and capabilities and products that will help you to be competitive, not just in culinary guiding, but in all aspects of tourist guiding. So I hope that you learned something today. I would love to chat with any of you who would like to know more or do more. Go ahead and scan the QR code, or you can visit our website at worldfoodtravel.org. Submit a support ticket if we can get your destination interested in culinary capitals, or if you'd like more information about World Food Travel Day, for example, you can find that on our website as well. So I'd like to thank Alushka and her team for giving us the opportunity to speak with you today. And I hope that we get a chance to meet one day in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erik. I know you can't hear us this time on the video, but thank you, Erik, for mentioning Glasgow. That's where I am a tourist guide in Scotland, so hey-ho. Okay, without further much ado, our next speaker will continue the theme, and thereafter will be a Q&A session, and then we are breaking for lunch. So we are continuing on the food theme, sorry.